Hey buddies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon. Today I'm going to show you how to set up, play and review the game Aerion. This is by Z-Man or Z-Man Games, a company that I've demonstrated for professionally a few times. And this is in the Universe, not Omniverse, Universe by Shade Torbay. Again, the guy who did Onirim, I want to keep calling it, Unirim. And apologies for the pronunciation there. Please let me know in the comments and descriptions if I've goofed that much. I have played Aerion, I've played it online as well. I kind of prefer it online apart from the very scary moment when the kind of ghost cat comes out. Apologies for the terminology. There's lots of terms in this game that I might not use generically, or I might use a bit more in the lay sense. There are many fans of this game online, and it's a very popular solo game. And I will need some space to do it. It's a push your luck game to a degree, in a big respect. It's a solitaire game predominantly, but there's a co-op mode. And there are some expansions. All the expansion stuff, I've already sorted it all out, and that's why I put all the expansion stuff as well. But we will need these 6 dice and this stuff. That is also for the first expansion. I won't be talking about the expansion stuff. If you're ever interested, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell whilst I'm setting up as per usual. Also check out the playlist whilst I'm still getting stuff out, where you can find further videos for playthroughs, as well as further other solo games, and also other games in the how to set up, play and review playlists. Also there's AmassGames where you can see pretty much every video on the channel. At current count is about 700 or so. Lastly, in the description you'll find Instagram and Facebook links as well. And lastly there's Patreon, which will help support the channel going forward. So in Instagram you can see over 2,100 photos, and aside from that there's also other videos such as dice distancing to see how far dice roll, and that's quite interesting because, well, there's definitely some interest. That's why people still keep encouraging me to do that. So there's a few, I don't know, about 3 dozen videos presently on there. So you have these ships. You are an air right. You are looking to create various ships and make sure that they can take off, make sure that they do a great job of being able to navigate the skies. Now, this is the rulebook, just to let you know. It has some lovely artwork, of course. I quite like it. It's quite playful and quite enjoy it. And it's the same artist for the other games in the series. There are other games such as Castilian that I look forward to telling you about as well, and where I'll be doing various comparisons. There are other games such as Sylvian as well. I think I might have pronounced that right, hopefully. And like I said, here's the layout of exactly what is in there. As I mentioned, we won't be talking about the expansions, of which there are 6. So when I get to the review, I won't be talking about those expansions. I'll just be telling you about this and what I like and dislike about it. So as you set up the game, you are going to set up these 6 different ships. You are going to set them up this side up. This is the requirement, like a blueprint required to build them. And I use that word blueprint. Blueprint, that is another word I will be using. And again, please hit the like button as well, and of course share. So there we go. Those are the things, that's our objective. We have some dice, and we are looking to use those dice to be constructing these ships. You now need to take these cards, and you'll now need to sort them by number. Sorry, not number, type of different combination that you'll be needing to complete this game. You'll shuffle them and place them face up. Let's stick them down here. I'll tell you why they're here and not higher up, because that's going to be where discard cards go. You're going to take these, and what these numbers and letters represent, these A's, as I can't see any numbers yet, what these A's represent are basically combinations. It's a set collection game, whereby you are looking to complete, a bit like in the game of poker and Yahtzee and stuff like that. You're trying to roll dice and look to ensure that you can get that combination. And I've been very lucky so far with the majority of stuff I'm doing, and I'll give you a couple of examples. So right now I can be getting this card, but don't worry, I'll get onto that in due course. Right, I'm going to keep going, do the rest of these. So lots of more videos coming to the channel. There's been a daily video since May at time of recording, so look forward to obviously bringing those to you. Lots of specials on the way around Christmas, and lots more planned for 2022. Okay, so we've got our 5th set here coming up, I believe. Let's just check. Oh no, apologies. This does happen, of course. I like to do one-shots. It means I can do more videos. I hope to ensure that they are accurate, of course. But this is set number 5, so in this case you want to be rolling 4 of a kind, or trips, or quads, as they say in poker. Of course, quads for 4, trips for 3. That's with this one. Full house is over here, which look familiar. So there we have it, all set up. Don't need to zoom out or zoom in. You have these pixie tokens. You can vary the complexity of the game using these. It lets you discard one of these to modify one of your dice to a certain roll. So the game's quite straightforward. It's doing a roll, grab, take kind of action. So you're going to roll these dice, and right now what we're trying to do is, again, build certain ships. Before we do anything else, we do need to reveal cards. We need to reveal cards to decide what we want. So we are going to slightly run out of space, so I might move everything up a bit. So we could get this thing down here. It's a ship. What a ship lets you do, it's a modifier. It lets you re-roll dice if you wish. So you're trying to get, let's say, a full house. You're one away from doing it. You could spend one of these, but of course they're one-time uses only. And if you want the game harder, you can actually just play with fewer of them until you eventually have 0, which makes it pretty darn difficult. You have various symbols, so we have that ship on the left. You have up to 3 rolls, so you're going to spend that card, you're going to take it down and keep it, and it's going to allow you to ultimately try to modify and re-roll your dice until you get something that you need. Okay, so we've got these things. I'm going to leave pixies out of the way. I don't think we're going to need them out of the way, need them for the time being. And to be honest, I think we can make a bit more space up here. Let's just do that up here for the time being. Maybe have some pixies in shot. Okay, so you have now got the option of which one you want to pick. You can never pick crew. Crew represent this symbol and this symbol. Also the fact that they've got people or these chaps on there as well. Again, apologies for not going into the terminology. I'm trying to keep it more specific to the gameplay as opposed to the lore of the game. So in this instance, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get either a blueprint or a resource, okay, these material cards. So what you're going to get, this is going to be a cocoon. That represents a cocoon. I think it looks like a feather, to be honest. You're going to get one of these. You're going to need the respective other thing that goes with it. And then you're going to need crew, and it lets you build one of these ships. So let's start with the cocoon. We have a material card here. Well, which cards need it? Well, we have a couple here. So these are the guys we're going to need. What are we going to need? We're going to need this kind of crew or this kind of crew. Well, we've got both. And we're going to also need this other symbol here. So we need to consider what else is out. Well, presently, neither of those are out. So let's talk about blueprints. We have this kind of chandelier symbol here, and we have this symbol, which is over here. So we could take down these as well. This is important because this guy is going to need the cocoon symbol and the crew symbol. So right now, we should probably be working on one of these things. And that's where rolling dice allow you to dictate what you want to do. So you're going to roll these dice. I was going to use a dice tray, but I thought giving you a bit of in-depth images helps to keep an eye on the image. So first thing you have to do is sort your dice. Again, you're going to have to do this a lot throughout the game. And these dice are small and fairly fiddly. So for dice distancing, it'd be quite interesting. So what do we have now? Well, we don't have this one done. We could complete this one to give us further rerolls in the future. Or in this instance, we're quite close to doing this. Let's just say, try and go to the example. We'll spend the pixie just to get rid of that one. And as this allows us to now to take this card, which is something we're after because we want to get that cocoon. So this comes down, puts in front of us. I'm going to leave it just in shot, just to show you we have something we need. Then you're going to replenish this card and go again. So I'm just going to do it on top of these cards, I think, and sort them again. So we have a 1, we have a 1, we have a 1, and automatically I can stop because I've got enough of what I need. I could pick something else. Now, the game ends in one of 2 ways. As a victory, because you've managed to make all of your ships, or a loss, if all of these cards get replenished and suddenly all those cards go as well. If that happens, you've lost the game and you have to play again. If you've won the game, you can choose to increase the difficulty, as I mentioned, with pixies, or maybe you want to try out the expansions. So these are called the decks. These are called the display. This is where the discard will go, as I'll get on to in due course. And finally, we have our workshop. This is workshop 1. We can have another workshop next to us here. We can have a pulpit, which is where a singular book can go. So if ever you want to modify stuff, we'll talk about books in a moment. And finally, reserve, something you want to work on in future. So you've got this guy, we want to get this, we've now got it. It's going to go with it. And the next thing we're going to need is the crew. And we've talked about where we can find that crew. We've seen where we can see the symbol. It's right here. So now we're going to roll again. And this time let's just do it like this. There we go. I consider that a roll. People shake their dice for ages. For me, no. Drop them out your hands, they're going to spin around. That might be an advantage of them being small, who knows. So right now, we are looking to get this guy. Have we got it? 1, 2, 3, we're 1 away. So this time round, we're going to spend a card, just as an example, to show you what we want to do. So we've got, well, 1 away. It doesn't matter what you keep. Let's keep the 5. Try to go for this. So this time around, we're going to spend a card. Now, what I could do instead is have a ship, which I'll get back onto. Let's just say I discard this card. Okay, so we're going to spend that card. And we have up to 3 rolls. So we're going to roll once. You can roll as much as you like. I've already done it. Like I said, I'm pretty lucky with dice typically. That comes out. I've now completed this card. I've got that card. That is exactly what we need because we needed the 2 and the thingy. Let's have a look. And we see the symbol. It matches. We flip it over. Another thing is some of these shapes aren't all the same size, which is a bit tricky when you're trying to stack them and put it away, personally I found. So these go back in their respective piles. So that's the discard pile. We have a discard pile. And we have a discard pile. You then replenish. And I think I'll give you one more example about the book, and then I'll talk about the review. So there we have it. Let's take the dice. Let's roll them again. See what we have. Can we get anything initially? Well, we've got a couple of things here. We haven't got any resources, so any material. But what do we have? What are we close to getting? We're not close to getting a straight. Oh, apologies. That should not be there. For now, let's leave it there. That should be here because that is the wrong card. Apologies if you were screaming out of that one. So this is all we can work with presently, or at least makes it a bit easier. It's a shame because we're having a straight kind of going on. But let's just say we want to get a book. So if we want to get a book, we haven't got a book presently at the minute. We do have 2 3s, we've got 2 1s. Let's try and do this. Let's spend this card, just as an example, to try and get that 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay, didn't manage it. So replenish. And let's say we have just now got a book. Okay, that's the whole point, is to give the example. So we've now got a book in front of us. So what does it do? Well, it's in our pulpit. So we have a workshop. This is where a play map would be nice. And you can discard up 3 times. So right now we want, let's say, to go for this. So do we get it on our first turn? We're assuming we don't, but let's just kind of add a bit of intrigue. So we're 1 away. So right now we need to get that. So we're going to discard this card. So it's going to go back in its respective piles. Keep an eye where we got it from. And we're trying to get what we need. So we need to get, let's just roll this one, to get a 2, and that's enough. So now Alexis get this card. Again, very lucky with those rolls again. So that's going to keep going on. You can only work on 2 projects at once. You can never work on a 3rd one or more. You can't get a crew until you have your material cards, and so you have your material cards and your blueprint cards first. And hopefully that's all you need to do to explain the game. I must admit, I didn't like the layout of the rulebook. There's some bits that weren't immediately obvious for myself, and I wouldn't say I'm terrible at rulebooks. There's about 1,700 that I've gone through, and I wouldn't say this is bad, but let's just say I found 90% that have been better. I think some of the layouts could have been a bit clearer. Whilst they do have some good examples, I kind of wish they actually had whole cards on there. I must admit, in terms of the expansions, I'm not interested in expansion if I didn't enjoy the gameplay itself. I do enjoy the gameplay. It is nice when you go, yes, I've rolled what I needed to. And I do like some luck in a game. What I don't like is the fact that, well, firstly, the dice are a bit too small and they can very easily be knocked. That happens a lot, and that's a problem for me. Also, I found it's a bit too much of a logic puzzle. I feel that when you're rolling something and you're getting something, it just feels a bit too distilled down to its abstract nature of what it is. I don't feel it's too thematic either, and that is also a bit of an issue. I feel it can be a bit luck dependent if you don't get what you want at the right time. So that's another thing I know other people comment on. It is highly replayable. There's a lot of different options, not even talking about the expansions, and that is another factor too. You could be working on something not knowing if it's even possible or not, and that's fine. It is what it is. I just didn't personally enjoy it. They go for a lot of iconography, and they don't go for text, apart from obviously the bits on the ship cards, and that's a minor quirk as well. As I said, there's lots of different specific names for these various things, helixes and stuff like that. Sometimes it can be tricky to figure out what things are. What I can say is if you've got a card which is 2 pair, it's always going to have this symbol at the bottom of it, and you kind of have an idea of what could be coming up. Yes, you can mitigate it. You've got these guys, but I've talked about other solo games. I've mentioned elsewhere that, for example, Friday by Freedom and Free, so I've met and spoken with in person. I much prefer that. I feel that I can't necessarily use a spreadsheet straight away to figure out what's going on. So that for me is very important. As I said, it's okay to look at, but again, it's a bit vague as to the relevance of what it is for building an airship and using a cocoon to do it. But of course, it's a wacky Heath Robinson style airship. The card quality is fine. I think it works well. Some people say it could be in a smaller box. I think the flappy thing, this card thing, it's all right, but it doesn't really do it for me. You need some table space to play this game. That isn't really a factor for me, and there's lots more I think I want to say, but for this one shot, I just wanted to get across some clear points that for me, it's a good game. I like the game. I think it's well designed. I like lots of options to it, but for me, it doesn't have that draw of actually wanting to get this out and play. So cooperatively, you have 3 ships. You work on 3 ships each. But for me, I don't personally get into... This isn't my favourite in the Omniverse series, so I'll put that out to you right now. Like I said, other views I'll talk to you about in due course. But for me, if you want to play a solo game, it's got a lot of interest. People like the fact they're rolling dice and competing stuff. It is really fun. But it isn't something that jumps out for me to keep wanting to play because it's predetermined. There's predicated elements to it. And when you roll that back, it detracts that from me. That's the issue I have with the game. Like I said, I don't dislike the game. I give it at least a 6 out of 10, which is definitely not a bad, that's a game, kind of I'll play within the mood and such like. But generally speaking, when I'm with other people, that's a different factor. So it's the same designer. Great. I like the variety and stuff, like I said, but it does have something there which doesn't work for me. So that's been Aerion. Quite a disseminating view I feel I put on that one. But equally, hopefully, and I know that when this goes on Board Game Geek, there's going to be a lot of fans on here that won't agree with that. But again, I don't know what else they've played. I don't know the variety, and I'm hoping I'm just able to give a share there of other games that I have preferred, and some of the reasons why. I love Push Your Luck, some of the highest rated games. Port Royal, for example, love that. Deep Sea Adventure, love that too. But this almost has that kind of coup element in the card game, whereby you get down to the last 2 cards and you already know who's won. I'm not saying it's quite like that. Equally in a game such as, the game of Solitaire, the game of patience with cards, bicycle cards. But that's my view. That's been AmassGames, had a setup, play and review, Aerion.